everyone, good evening. I'm Steph. I'm going to be your host for this Itoday Apero number 2. We are live from Lausanne, Switzerland, and we have people from a bit everywhere around the world. So that's really, really exciting to have all of you guys. Please, everyone, can you just say hi to the camera? Woo! Yeah, really good to see you, and thank you so much. We are the 5th of January, and everyone is here, so this is great. So maybe you're wondering about the title of Itoday Apero. Why an apero? An apero in the Swiss or French speaking culture is just a great time to enjoy your time with friends, to have a glass of wine, to drink, and to eat a bit of cheese, and you just talk with friends casually about the world. And that's what we are trying to do with these Itoday Aperos. Also, for this apero, I have a little surprise. Maybe some of you guys know that my family are actually winemakers in Switzerland. That's what my name means, crucial. And so they make wine, and the vineyards are right there. And what we're gonna do, maybe this could become a little tradition if this works, is the first bottle, I'm gonna open it in front of you guys and drink it in front of you. Yeah, that's too bad, but you can go to your own fridge and get some drinks, and it doesn't need to be alcohol. It can be Coke, I don't care. Just make yourself comfortable. So first bottle I'm gonna open. The second bottle of this wine, I'm gonna send it to our speaker of today in Tel Aviv, Israel. I can hear. Are you excited? Good.
Very, very excited.
The third bottle, because I have 3 of the same one, will send to the person in the audience who will have the best question for Adi today, and it's gonna be Adi choosing who is gonna get the wine.
Wow!
How cool is that?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
Good.
fun. That's so fun.
About our amazing speaker of today. So we really want to highlight people who are trailblazers in innovation, who have something to say about innovation, and also who are part of Itoday community. And Adi was the perfect person for that. And Adi has released a book called Innovating Through Chaos. That was released.
I have the ebook.
Oh, this is good. Yeah, so I was reading on the ebook, and anyway, ebook or in paper, it's an amazing book that really captures the time of crisis. Of now. It was written during the COVID crisis, and yeah, your talk is gonna be about these very specific times for innovation. I met Adi. It was at Google, right? In 2017, we attended a workshop together, and I met her, and I was like, wow, yeah, she's great. She has such a great energy. And Adi is not anyone. She has helped literally hundreds of startups and very large companies to innovate. Some of them are like IBM, Intel, Google, Waze, you name them. And yeah, your mission is to show that any business or any company can innovate even at times of crisis, and that's the content of the book. And yeah, you're gonna show us how. Anyway, it's very, very exciting to welcome you. Thank you so much for coming all the way from Tel Aviv, Israel. Please, everyone, give a big round of applause for Adi Mazor Kario, please.
Thank you, Steph. You should come with me anywhere and just present me, and then I'll feel like very, very good. You're doing your job so well as a moderator.
Thank you so much.
I want to welcome you all and thank you for, I'm showing my screen. Tell me if you see it, right? You see it all? Yeah.
Perfect.
Great. So I want to thank you so you joined me after all these hours in front of the screen, and still you're doing it with me just to listen to me. So I'm so honored to be with you today. And I would love to take part. So if you feel that you have any questions, just write in, and Steph I urge you just to stop me in the middle and ask any question. Whoever I came to Tel Aviv or Israel know that we're very outspoken. Just stop me and I'd be so delighted to answer. So you don't need to wait for a specific moment. Just ask me while you're doing it. I think it's going to be more like fun for us.
Cool.
So now we can start. So what we're going to talk about today is one of my favorite subjects, and it's about product innovation. But it's more than that. It's product innovation right now in the COVID crisis, in uncertainty, when everything is chaos all around you. So the question that I'm trying to answer here with you is, why now is the best time to create new products? And it sounds a bit weird because if everything is changing around us and everything is unknown. So let's think about it together. So what we're in the middle of is what we call the black swan. So it's something really rare that happens once in, let's say, 100 years. And it's really extreme. So it has this big impact on our lives. And when people think about it in retrospect, they say, okay, we could have known that it's going to happen. So I want you to imagine that you're in this really big change, but it's not COVID. Can you imagine something that happens to you and it's a big change, maybe in your life, maybe something that you encountered? It doesn't have to be a huge, bad pandemic. And think about the situation that everything is changing. It could be the birth of your first child. It's like you going to first kindergarten from home or something like that. And the situation is changing really, really all around you. And as a person, it's not that different if it happens to everyone and only for you, if you're a kid, for example. And when this really, really big changes happen, you're going into a survival or growth mode. So you need to decide if you're going to grow from it or you're just going to hang out and just wait till it passes. And you could do whatever you've done before and you're waiting to go back home from kindergarten, for example, or you want to go back to your genes after you had a baby. So you can just imagine how big change could affect you as a person. And after all, companies and innovation is all from people and how they're experience their lives and their what they're doing right now. So let's start because I want to get to know you. I usually talk to people in front of them, so I at least see them. And I would like to ask you for the first poll. So Steph, could you share the first poll? So yes. I'll see who is like in front of me.
Yes. Tell me if it works.
Yay.
It works.
So tell me who is in front of me. So who am I talking to? So I'll know more or less. I would love to see it. People are answering?
Yeah, they are. So sorry, I thought that you were seeing because I'm seeing it and I'm really enjoying it.
You're the only one.
Okay, so I need to end the poll, but people are still voting like if we are 2,000, but no. Perfect. So that's the end of the poll.
So tell me what's the result? Could we see the results?
Yes. Yeah, there you go.
Wow, we have lots of people from strategy and innovation, so welcome. And from design, where I come from, and I'm going to tell you in a minute, and others. So that's really intriguing. What are the others? And maybe you could write me in the chat so I'll know. So thank you for sharing that. And now we know more or less who's like in front of us. So before we start, I want to introduce myself and why am I here? How did I come here? What's my story more or less? And I usually tell it like when people see me like full, not only my square here, but I want you to be connected to what I'm doing and to really understand where I come from. So my story begins when I'm pregnant with my second child and I'm doing my master's degree. And I was a product designer in cybersecurity company in Tel Aviv. And I really wanted this stable company, but I had this vision that I want to be the best designer ever and change the world, at least like Steve Jobs, I would say.
Just that.
But this company did not really change much. They were like small and they didn't want to invent too much. And I felt like I'm not having any impact. I felt like a bit disappointed with what I did and a bit like a failure because many people who were in my first degree in design, some of them started a startup, some of them got into very big companies and really succeeded. And I felt like I'm a bit disappointed. But, I was pregnant with a second child, so I forgot about it. And then when I was in maternity leave, a really big change happened, an unexpected change. And I got a call from the office. I stayed at home for a few months with my kid. And they told me, come to meet the CEO. He was my manager. And I know it was not, it sounded not good, but I didn't have any option. So I took the small baby and placed it in the baby carrier and went to the office. And I don't remember like anything from this talk. It was like I think like 20 minutes talk, but I only remember that when he fired me, my baby started to cry because my heart pounded so fast against his chest when he said it. So that's the only thing I really remember. And it was such a shock for me that everything is like changing and so fast. And I thought to myself, like, this is my baby. That's my daughter, his sister. And I said, okay, how will I pay rent? How will I do my studies? How could I do both career and take care of my kids and do my MA? So it was like a total shock. And I was really afraid at that moment. Mm-hmm. And after a few weeks, I got a call from a friend, and it was really surprising. And he told me, I can give you a client. Someone I know is looking for a UX and product person. So why wouldn't you do it? And this company that I started to work with, the first company I worked with is Clarizen. They're a very successful company for product management, and they're still successful till today, which means they were very, very successful startups to work like 20 years after my first time. And what I really found out there is something that I did not know. The PM called me, the PM from Clarizen, and showed me the matrix, show me the numbers. They were gathering all the numbers, and it was not that common that day. Today, everybody have data and measuring everything. But back then, it was very uncommon. And he showed me the numbers. It was the first time I saw how many people started working with the application and never left it after I came to work with them. And it was the first time I really understand the power and the impact of innovation powered by design and what I'm doing for this company. And at that moment, I decided that I will work with as many products as possible and as many clients and really understand how to create value. And these are like some of the things that I've done. I've done hundreds of them. And for me, I always tried to make it better and better. And I got obsessed with product innovation and what makes a product perfect. And through the years, I knew that many of my clients and many of the startups, they failed because they didn't have these methods that we have today in order to learn and to get better. And I wanted to collect what I understand from all the projects and all the smart people that I work with. We have lots of startups in Israel. So I had lots of them. And I decided to get better and better. So at one point, I was called from Google to be part of their accelerator, and I went through the design sprint methodology certification in Google. And then they took me and I flew all over the world just to pass on like design sprints, innovation workshops, and talks all over the world. And I learned from each location how people do innovation differently, and then entrepreneurs all over the world work a bit differently. And I learned from there. And for me, the experience of really knowing from creating and failing and learning is the most important part that I try to pass on to my clients today. So I work with lots of big companies and small companies, and I learned through this process. And through this, all of these people that I worked with, I learned from it. So I created this invincible innovation method, which is a bit like design thinking and lean startup and design sprint. And it's a bit of all of that could help clients in general. And that helped me to be a mother to my 4 kids today. So I could either be like a career woman and still be with who I love and support them as I want. So now more or less you know who I am, what we're going to do in about like 25, 30 minutes from now. So we went through the intro. Now we're going to understand why now. Why now in this middle of this really great crisis. And it's not only health, it's financial, it's everything is changing. Why should companies innovate? Why is this the right time? Then we understand how to gain advantage in a changing market. What could companies do? And then we're going to have a Q&A. So what Steph mentioned in the book is like these 2 parts. One is theoretical and the second one is practical, what we're going to go through right now. So we're going to start. Steph, do you have any questions or we can start?
No, I think we can start.
You can just do this, just tell me. Okay. So let's start. So what we see here is the stock markets since 1971. So you see the stock market is going up and up, and the gray areas are recession, when we had a very, very bad time financially for the world. And you can see all the companies that are on the gray areas are companies who were born within the recession. For example, you see IBM, you see Lego, you see H&M, CNN. So these are really big companies that were established during the recession. And the question is it like so strange or not? And does it make sense? So you could see that if we were taking the 1930s, the big, great depression in the US, you see that many innovations were created in the 30s, the air condition, the color film, the commercial TV, which are very, very important for our daily lives today. And the question is it like by coincidence? So you could say, okay, so many big companies were established within the recession. It doesn't mean anything. There are many other companies that we know, like Amazon, Google, Facebook, Tesla. They were all created not within a recession. So what does that mean? So we want to see how many of the successful, in general, the number of successful companies were established during the recession. And we see that 57% of successful startups, companies, they were startups in the beginning, started then. So it means that they have higher option or higher opportunity to be successful when they started within the recession, when it's very, very hard. And what we're going to understand is why. So we can say, okay, we see it right now that many people, you see on LinkedIn, they're changing their title to CEO for a new startup. You see many entrepreneurs changing, right? I guess that you see it. Yeah, I live on LinkedIn actually. So this is not my house. I'm on LinkedIn. So I see many people changing their titles. And why is that? Why are so many people changing? So you could say, okay, there are more entrepreneurs. Many of them left or was fired from big organizations. They have lots of information and knowledge and data and experience. They could use that in order to be entrepreneurs. Maybe we have more access to really great talent. So if you have a company right now, many of the people who were fired could work for you. Maybe in the past, they all worked for someone else and now they're available. And more than that, you could say only the very specific prone to succeed startup would get funded. So it's like we have less capital, VCs invest, but they invest really in the best startups. And maybe this is why it works. You could say that, maybe these are the reasons. But I'm asking, is that all of the reasons? Is that all of it? And one of the answers we could find is in this TED Talk. I guess some of you have seen it, and I hope not all of you, because I'm going to ask a question about it, so don't spoil. So what's the single biggest reason for startups to succeed? This talk was like, I think 5 years ago. And this person researched, he had like a VC or accelerator for startup, and he researched the startups they work with. And I think it was 200 of their startups and 200 outside their organization. And he wanted to understand. So he took these aspects. There are 5 aspects or factors for succeeding: the idea, the team, timing, business model, and funding. So he wanted to know which one of them will make you more prone to succeed. So this is my second poll, and Steph will join me with that. And I would love to hear what you think. Which one of these is the most important factor for a success of a startup?
Perfect. Wait for it. So I'm selecting the second one, I'm launching, and you should see it.
Yeah,
yes.
You see it.
So I see some people are voting, that's good. You will see on the replay, it's kind of cool, you see the bars moving like that.
That's good. That's good. We have our 4th election in Israel. We're so used to these bars all the time. I think it's like 50% of what we're doing for the last 2 years.
Oh yeah, because you guys are totally digital. Well, we're gonna talk about that later. Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't have electronic voting here.
Yeah.
Okay, 22% persons voted, so perfect. And I'm sharing the results.
Let's see. So people say timing and team. So when I first saw the TED Talk, I said it's all about the team. That's what I was sure. And it's not surprising that most people think about that, because when you're talking to VCs, and I just recently talked to one of the biggest entrepreneurs and VC founders in Israel, and they all talk about the team. Okay, so team is really important, but apparently the second place takes everything. So it's all about timing. So 43% of the success is related to timing. So you have a great idea, but it's too early or too late, you're not going to do anything with it. If it's too early, nobody's going to use it. If it's too late, they will use the competitors or the one who got it there first. So this is what happens. And it's really important to see that it's 42% important, and team is only 32%, which is like, for me, it's really surprising. And you see that funding is only 14%. The fact that someone from a VC decided to fund a company doesn't mean that it's much better, although it could be funded really like in the beginning for a seed and more, not further than more, but still that means that VCs don't know everything. So how do you, as entrepreneur, somebody who wants to create innovation within the company, could do an empirical and deliberate understanding if it's the right time for your idea? How do you know that? And that's the question. So we need to understand the customer behavior. We need to understand first as us, how, when we woke up today, how much did we use products? Like we woke up, we used a toothbrush, we went to use a soap, we're doing makeup, clothes, everything. We use so many products today. But the other question is, how much of these did we buy today? And we're not talking about groceries, which is daily, but how many of you did buy new shoes right now, or a new toothpaste or new toothbrush? That's the question. And we see we're using much more than we're buying, because we're getting used to this specific shoe and we're not going to change it so fast, or we're getting used to the specific, monitor or a computer. We're not going to change it. So the question is, how do we change behavior? So we have this kind of trigger. We woke up, or we want to start our day, and we want to feel clean. And this is the need that we have. And therefore, we are going to do something. We're going to go to wash ourselves, to brush our teeth, to sing a song, whatever. But we have a solution. So some of you will open their Facebook. Some of you will go to the bathroom, whatever. But this is the solution you currently have for this unmet need, that you want to feel fresh in the morning. But if I want to make you take my new product, I need to really verify that it's much, much better. So in order to make you change to my toothbrush, I need to really make sure that you understand that my solution is much, much better. And then you will be able to think, okay, I'm willing to switch to an electric toothbrush, for example, because it will clean much more, and this is what the dentist is doing, and so forth. But when we want to change, we have this internal anti-power, I would say. First, we're anxiety from the new thing. We're not sure it's that good. And second one, we're so used to one thing. So why would we change? Mm-hmm. So we have the power to, maybe we should try it. But the other power is, no, I'm so used to what I'm doing right now, I wouldn't change anything. And when I want to convince you to come to my product, I need to deal with these objections. And you can think about any product that you're using right now. I need to convince you to go from, let's say, using Skype in order to use Slack. Why Slack is better? I need to really make sure that you understand what is the benefit. Another thing that could make me switch is that I have a new need. So right now, when I'm buying food, I want it to be healthy too, because I'm caring about my immune system, for example. So it's not enough that there is this kind of juice, it could be a healthy juice or with vitamins, maybe I'll do that. So my need for healthy ingredients will overcome the need for just eating. So when something is like, I have a new need, I will probably do it. And we have lots of them right now. For example, the hand sanitizer could be a bracelet with a hand sanitizer, or a cream with sanitizing, or all the cleaning is like sanitizing. It's not only cleaning and making it look fresh. So we're giving this a game creator. So we have something more. And when we think we have something more, not just cleaning, but sanitizing, we still have this anti-powers, but we can overcome that because we believe that we need to sanitize the room, for example. But the best way to switch is when I want to go to my usual solution and it's not there. Could you think about something that happened in the past few months, and it's not there anymore, right?
Exactly, yeah. So, few context changes.
Yeah. So I think the best example here is Zoom, because every time I see it, and we're using it right now, I tell myself, this is the proof that design is not needed. You just need to have a need to do something, because it performs the task. But not more than that. It doesn't need to delight the user. It doesn't have to be super user-friendly. It doesn't have to do anything. I'm just using it because I cannot walk right now and fly to Steph and drink with him the wine, right? So I don't have any other option. So what we're doing is customers are looking for another option to communicate, to go to work, to talk to their families abroad. And you say, okay, I have a pain reliever. Use Zoom instead. And when you're saying it's not only giving you a gain and you're getting more, you're getting a pain relieved, because I really need to go to work and I really need to communicate. So when it's a pain reliever, it's so much easier. And more than that, I don't have any other choice. So maybe I have anxiety. I don't want to use Zoom, but do I have any option? And maybe I'm so used to going to my clients' offices, but who cares? So the anti-powers are so low. So this is so easy to make me go for Zoom. I don't need to think about it. So what I'm saying is the change is not because it's also what we said right now, but it's not only because there are more entrepreneurs and more human capital and the VCs are investing well. It's because there are switches, and it's really easy to switch. People need different things, and what they need is not working anymore. And then I want to, as a consumer, to have something else. And then if somebody offers me an option, I would go with it. So COVID is the biggest switching event in your lifetime. You will never see people switch
hopefully
so much. No other option, because this is such a big event. And people are changing, and you see everything is changing around you. And it's not only the way people react, and it's not only the solutions they have, it's the way that people think.
If I can share something from Switzerland, Swiss people are very risk averse, I will say, and not too willing to try new things. And I think COVID brought a lot of flexibility in trying new things, right. Doing things a different way. And I can really see that culture change in Switzerland, at least.
Yeah, I think it's all around. You see people who are more strict with the way they're thinking. They see it's not controllable. So they wanted to believe they can control everything, and we will do this, and this is what happens. And they see it doesn't work anymore. So they have no other option just to make it more flexible in their mind, because if not, they will be overwhelmed like for 9 months or more right now, right? And they need to adjust that and say, okay, what could be done? So what I told you right now is like, yeah, you could say, Adi, really nice, but the leaders did not hear about it because most companies are not going out with new products. We don't see that many successful startups out there. We don't see the innovation budget going to the sky and saying, yeah, we have to invest. So is it something that nobody heard about? That's a question. So apparently McKinsey asked this question. So they had this research, a survey, and they asked, it was called Innovation in Crisis, why it is more critical than ever. And apparently 90% of the leaders that they asked believe that COVID-19 crisis will fundamentally change the way they do business over the next 5 years. And 85% of them said that it will have a lasting impact on their customers' need and want over the next 5 years. So if we're saying that, you see 2/3 of them are not say they don't feel that that this is very challenging for them. Mm-hmm. But 90% of them know that this is what they need to do, because they're saying it's impacting our clients and what they need and what they know. What does that mean? We need to answer these needs. These are the opportunities for us to grow, right? So my question is, and now we have another information that nearly 3 out of 4 executives said that this is a big opportunity for growth. So most of the 85% for technology, but not only from technology, people from consumers, people from pharma, financial, retail, they all think it's a really good opportunity to grow. So this is like all over the place.
Adi, there is a really great question on the chat from Sharon. Maybe Sharon, do you want to ask it?
Sure.
Yeah, of course. And this is not the only statistic that I come across these days. And this is a statistic of June 2020, let's say 5 months into the crisis. We're now in January 2021, 6 months later. Yeah. If we would do the research again, would the statistics be the same, or is the mindset of business changing? Because the investment potential that organizations have is dramatically reduced now 6 months into the crisis.
Yeah, I think that I'm not sure it will be. I didn't do I didn't check it right now, but I believe that there is this mental process, emotional process you go through when you have this big change. And as people, we're trying to avoid it first. We're trying to, okay, let's just put our head down. It will pass. And this is what we're doing. And then we see it's not passing. We're starting to understand things have changed. And only when we have understanding, this has changed. Now I'm ready and I have the energy to do something different. Only then you could do it. You cannot do it before that. So I think that leaders and people in general, working employees, everyone who believed in the beginning that it will pass, know right now that it won't pass. And more than that, even if it passes, it will not go back to what it was. We know things have changed. So, and it's fundamental change. So companies are selling their stores they are not renting anymore. They're not coming to, they're allowing everyone to work from outside, especially in technology. People are reluctant to go to big conferences or to sports events. Even if you had a football game right now, I'm not sure that everybody would come the same as they were. They will be more afraid. Okay, so this is what I think. And my question to you, why most companies are not innovating right now if they know they need to do it? So what would be your answer? Steph, tell me what people are saying, because I'm not looking at the chat right now.
Yeah, so don't hesitate to write your answers. If I can share my own sure. Perception, I think I totally agree with you. The first wave in Europe, at least, was very scary, and everyone just sat at the side of the road and waited that it's gonna pass. And we are a company working with innovation, and we saw that there was quite a freeze of all projects and nothing happened. Second big wave, it's very different. We can see that now there is probably more maturity in the whole situation, and companies have accepted that there is a change and that you need to move forward. So at least from our own perspective, we didn't see a huge stop of the business or interest in innovation, and even the opposite. We see that it's catching up. Like, people are really, they need to get together. They need to find ways to work together, to move forward, to accept the situation. And there is that explore thing, and companies are more willing to explore.
Yeah, I totally agree. I feel that in my business too. So I agree what you're saying. Mm-hmm. So tell me what people answer.
Okay, So there is. Can you just repeat the question so I don't?
So why most companies are not innovating right now?
Yeah. So, there is a lot I should have. So Giron says lack of funds, paying salaries first. Eduardo says perhaps we don't yet see them. They are working on their products right now that will be launched in the coming month or years. Xavier says they believe innovation is expensive. Marcus says afraid of taking additional risks. They really want to win the wine. Huh? Mihai says still barely surviving from inertia. Isabelle, uncertainty. Vincent, believe there is still a way back to what was normality. Vaccines are helping to go back. Paul says innovation, please stop. Innovation is not in companies' DNA, so that was changed.
Right.
Mihai, maybe lack of cash because not a good time. Andrea, oh my God, so much.
Yeah. Thank you for taking part. And
really while some companies understand the need to change, there are still so many afraid of the challenge to the status quo. Julian, not the priority, salaries first. Okay, yeah, super, super cool answers actually. Yeah, a lot of reasons.
Yeah, so I totally agree with some of you. And first, innovation is risky, and you always feel that you don't have to risk something when you're at risk. So people are at risk, but the main reason that I talk about mainly in my book is fear. And there is always fear from the unknown, and there is always fear from innovation, especially right now, because companies say, okay, currently we have money and maybe lots of it, but will we have that in a year or two? And the question is, how can we maintain our core product, services, what we are doing money out of right now, and still do something different? And most of them say, okay, now we're going to close everything, just go into a survival mode. We asked about growth of survive. So they're going into survival mode and not doing anything different. But they know that they are missing the opportunities and they are not taking it because they're afraid. And the question is, like, when we are thinking about fear, it's actually the fear of the unknown is possibly the fundamental fear underlying all anxiety forms. So there was a research trying to understand anxiety and why people are afraid. And when we think about us as kids, we're all afraid of the dark, more or less, to a certain degree. When we grow up, we're less afraid. But why are we all afraid of the dark? Because it's the unknown. We don't know what's going to happen. The biggest unknown, of course, is death. So this is what we are afraid of. So the unknown, something that we cannot control, that we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what will happen and how will we confront it and how will we handle it, is something that we are very afraid of as human beings. Especially right now that we have all this stress of we don't know, and if we're healthy, what happens to our parents, what's going to happen to the financial situation, the economy, everything is changing. So we're saying, okay, in this situation, I'm just going to survival mode. And this is what most leaders are doing. And the way the leaders are handling uncertainty is related to if they are trained to work in uncertainty, if they are experiencing uncertainty. For example, innovation is something that you do as insurance. You're doing insurance when you are not sure you need it. And when you need it, you use it. So if you have this skill and ability to work under uncertain conditions and in uncertain times, you know how to do it when something like that happens. If you don't have these capabilities within your company right now to start, it's kind of difficult. You could do it, but it's more difficult. And one of the things that I write in the book is that we are in Israel so used to being in an uncertain situation.
Yeah, this is so important.
Yeah, so we're always living in uncertainty. We're always like, nothing is like stable here. Everything is changing all the time, and we're kind of used to it. So one of the words that we have in Hebrew is called balagan. Balagan is like a mess. Everything is chaos. Everything is not working. And we're used to it. So we're a bit fond of the word. So it's when you go into a room and you say this room has balagan, it means that, yeah, it's not a bad thing. So we get used to it, and it's a bit messy, but it's part of our lives. And this is how Israelis see their life, and they are not settled. I think that in general, they are not calm and not settled. So we're always in uncertainty. And Steph told me that there is another language that this word is used in the same context, more or less, and I was surprised,
it's
right?
Lithuanian, yes.
Yeah, so apparently it's not only a Hebrew word, but I think this is why when something happens, we're so prone to do something. So, like there is the freeze, fight, or flight, right? So many companies would go into freeze and maybe even like avoiding, we don't want to do anything with it. And some of them will do something, which is like the fight thing. And this is what we have in Israel. We're always like, we're doing more, thinking less, but doing more. We're always proactive. And that's why we're doing more innovation in general.
I think a great illustration is what's happening with the vaccines of COVID right now.
Right.
Like Israel is just crushing it, and all the other countries, they are kind of somehow trying or starting to think about it now. And you guys seem,
yeah,
really
I think that I read that we have like 11% of the population already vaccinated. And yeah, we're a small country, but still it's much more than other countries. And I think it's connected to what we do when we're anxious. We're anxious as others. So we are afraid of what's going on as any other country. But for us, we need to act. We need to do something, to fix it. And when if maybe some of you have been to Israel and you know that everybody has an idea how to do things. We're not going by the rules most of the cases. Like if you have line for a shop, or you have a line for the bank, you will never have a very strict line. You always have people going around it because they have other ideas. How can we build this line? Although it has been tried in the past, I guess. And this is how we do things. So I think that the way that we handle as a country and the way that Israelis are thinking is something that I'm trying to convey to other companies when I come. It's not like I'm telling you, you have to live in uncertainty, because somebody who is like born, in Sweden, for example, maybe we have someone in Sweden. So from the first moment that he's born, he has like, I know that I will have a job, I will have a roof over my head, I will not need to work there hard to have university. It's all from the state. So there is something that you feel very safe within. And when you're very safe and stable, you are not looking to change anything, right?
There is a great story in your book about you freaking out at the beginning of the first wave and getting a job proposal. Maybe can you share that story?
Yeah. So what happened is, like, before the COVID started, I think it was even November before, I was called to, one of my clients called me, and we worked when they were a startup, when they just had the beginning and the first beta version, and they were very, very successful, and they were purchased by Amazon. So now they are part of Amazon. He told me, come and work with us, be part of Amazon. And I thought about it, and I really love them. They're very, very good clients, and I really enjoyed working with them. And it's in Tel Aviv, and it's like, it was a very good option, but I said no. I said, like, I can do it like half time, but I cannot do it. And then when it started, the COVID crisis, I think in about middle of March, he called me again. And they didn't find the right person for it. And he told me, maybe right now, when we're all working from home, you don't need to be commuting every day, maybe you would come to Amazon and work for us. And although I said no, I knew it's not for me. I was so anxious and afraid. And I said, okay, what will happen right now? Do I need to try new things and to go into like changing my business toward more innovation and selling new products? And why would I do that? I have the option that Jeff will pay. And it sounded really nice for me. And I said, yes, because I was afraid, not because I wanted the job. And luckily they said no. So in the end, I'm still here with you instead of working nicely with Amazon.
Maybe it's an assumption, but I have the feeling that probably entrepreneurs are handling a bit better with that unknown, that being scared of the future, because we know how it is. It's always the same. We never know in 5 months or 6 months if we're going to have business or clients. But I guess for employees who chose the big corporate life and the regular salary, I think the COVID situation was super scary because it's totally out of,
Right, of course. I think that in general, people who are entrepreneurs or are self-employed, they have their own business or company, they know that there are fluctuations in what they're doing. Sometimes there are too much work or too much clients, and then sometimes it's much less, and you cannot really navigate there. So you don't have like what you have in big companies. We'll hire 10 more people, we'll fire 10 more people, no problem. It doesn't work when you have a small business. But I think that the fact that we're so used to these changes as people, and even we seek these changes because we want the challenge, we want it to be interesting, we don't want to be bored in the same position because this is what we love to do. And I think that at this time, although it's scary, and I gave a very good example from the book that you mentioned, and I think that people who are used to creating new things and to be entrepreneurs and to really try things out and see, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but they are living in this uncertain situation many years or many days of the year. They feel less threatened, I would say.
Adi, we have a challenge about winning a bottle of wine for the best question, right? And I would like to hear if some people here do have questions, and don't be afraid to unmute yourself and ask your question. If it's a good one, right?
I'd love to hear.
Who wants to start? Don't be shy. Vincent, yeah.
Thank you for your speech and writing all these ideas and this energy. Just one little thing that bothers me a little bit is that the idea of, you need to take risk and to feel unsafe, to take the risk and go in on innovation. And I was checking on something on my mind. And when you said that, for instance, for Sweden, it has been ranked as like the second most innovative country in the world by the World Economic Forum. I put the link in the chat. So how do you explain that? Because it seems like not very congruent with what has been said.
Israel, to me. You're asking about Israel. Why is it so? Why we have so many startups?
Sweden is second, and Israel.
Sweden is the second.
Yeah.
I'm very surprised to hear that. I would love to hear the numbers. I know that they're not considered an innovative country, but I don't know the numbers as you show them. But I guess.
That's the World Economic Forum, so it's quite, I would say.
I don't know many companies who big unicorn companies coming, other than Spotify, maybe coming from Sweden, but maybe I don't know it well enough. Tell me what are the big companies who came from Sweden other than Spotify? I would love to know. I don't know how do they
Skype, for instance, and
Estonia.
I don't know. Maybe I should read more about Sweden, but I know it depends on what do you see as innovative, right?
I think Mihai is
considered what?
Mihai is mentioning IKEA in the chat. Yeah, it's pretty.
IKEA.
It's pretty innovative.
I don't know if IKEA is an innovative. Would you say it's a design-oriented company? But I'm not sure it's innovative. You see, they're doing more or less the same thing. And by the way, about IKEA, I was one of the speakers next to a speaker from IKEA, and they're changing all their business model in the next 3 years. So they know that things are not working as they wanted. And for many years, they had more or less the same idea, and it worked really well, and they didn't change it. So I cannot answer something that I don't know, but if I would measure innovation, I would ask how much budget. So how many of the VC funding is going to this country? That's what I would ask. And I know that per capita, so per person, the first one is the Silicon Valley, and the second one is Israel. Per person, how much money per person you have. But maybe it's measured differently, so I cannot really know.
You have the link. Will not.
I'll read it. Okay. I'll read it.
Okay, thank you.
Who else has a good question? There is a bottle at stakes.
If somebody asks, you could read me the question.
No, yeah. There was a question from Mathieu Menet about startups. You want to ask it?
Yeah, sure. Hi, Eddie. I have a question related to going back to the right timing for launching a product, because sometimes they say, okay, if you're the only one, either you find a gold mine or either you didn't understand the situation. That was a question more related to the right timing. So do you think that's the right timing to launch a product is when you have other teams or other startups working on the same idea, meaning that the society is mature enough to receive it?
I think that when you build the product to match the new need out there, you will probably have more options to succeed. When you're going from a technology and what you believe would be a good idea, it's not the same as going to really understanding the market, the needs, what has changed, and going from there. And once you are doing the right path and understanding what are the things that might be relevant right now and test it out again and again, you have much more less risk and more possibilities to succeed. And right now, there are so many new opportunities out there. So many things has changed. So many needs are unmet needs are out there. People need things and they don't have any answer for it. People would like to go and laugh in a stand-up show. They would like to go to a football game. They would love to go to a conference. They would love to, so many things they would love to be within groups of gathering together, feeling the energy of people, and they cannot do it. So if somebody would find some kind of a solution to any of these problems and any of these needs, they will surely be more prone to succeed.
Cool, thanks. Yeah, definitely.
Great.
If I may, are we talking strictly about startups here, or are we also including innovation that can happen in existing businesses? And if we're talking about both, what would be let's say, the biggest difference in approach between the two?
Right. I thank you for a question. It's a great question. So first, I'm talking about innovation in general, either from entrepreneurs. So it's either startups or within companies. Companies could create lots of new product solutions for their current clients or for the new clients. So you can see it like the most obvious example is Amazon, right? So Amazon is going into health right now, and they invested $4 billion for things that are related to COVID. So of course, it could be done from within companies. And the difference is how you do innovation within big companies compared to small ones. So many of the things that I've done through the years are with startups and small companies. And in general, we don't have many established companies in Israel. So we're so young. So we don't have like companies as you have in Europe, 40, 50 years company in the same like father and son inheriting the factory, whatever. We don't have that. So when you're doing innovation with something which is more established or a bigger company, it's really different than doing it with a small team of 2 to 5 people, and they're brainstorming and working from morning to night and thinking together. And what they need to do is so different. So the fact that companies have the abilities to have lean startup and they know how to do it doesn't mean that they do really exercise and execute well, because there are so many preconditions and so many obstacles they need to think about and to tackle on their way. And that's why it's like taking what is working for small companies, maybe in the Silicon Valley, and taking it to bigger companies. And what I've been trying to understand is what is different, what is this gap that we could in product innovation, how can we do it in bigger companies? And the first thing is, I think, the connection with the users. So when you're a small company, a small startup, you have to talk to people. You don't have any other option. If you will not talk to people, you will surely fail. But when you're a big corporate, you say, okay, we have so many clients, we're not sure we have to talk to them. We have our sales team, we have a customer care, and we know everything about them. They're working with us currently, so what's the problem? But the problem is they might change. Maybe they bought your solution 2 or 3 or 5 years ago, and now they need something else. Maybe the market has changed, the competitor has changed. Maybe what you're doing is not good enough. Maybe you could make it much better and you're not really understanding what is needed. Mm-hmm. So the connection is not there in big companies, although they have so many advantages, they are not really using it. And they have so many advantages and they're not using it well when they're innovating.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, true.
Okay, thanks a lot.
If I can share something from our perspective is the COVID and the going remote brought us easy access to customers, users. Now everyone in the world knows how to use Zoom, for example. You can send a link, the person is going to be here answering your questions. And I could really compare, how hard it was to get testers. Back then, you had to invite them to a specific venue. It was super complicated, and now you just send the link. People are like, "Oh yeah, I'm on Zoom anyway." They click on the link, they are here, and you have the right person. This is amazing. Yeah.
Right. It's in some certain degree, it's easier for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want us to continue, and then we'll have another session for Q&A?
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so first, you could all have a link to the free version of the book. So what we talked right now is part of what we have in the book. And we're almost in the last part of the discussion. So I would love to answer a question about that. And the book has quotes. And one of the quotes that I really love is, the riskiest thing we can do is just maintain the status quo. And who said that is Bob Iger. He's the CEO of Disney, which is a very creative, innovative company. And I really believe in that. So people say that innovation is risky, but in the long run, and they're right, because many of these initiatives, innovative products, innovative projects, they are not working. So I think like 90 or 94% of these internal startups and startups in general are not growing, and they're not coming into a full, mature, successful product. Surely not a unicorn as everyone wants. But still, if you are not doing innovation, you're risking yourself, because the world is changing and you're staying in one spot, and everybody could just come and win the competition if you're staying in one specific place. And you have so many examples from the business world. So the third part of what I'm going, like the last part before the Q&A, is how do you gain advantage in a changing world? And I think it's connected to what Mihai just asked me. So how can you as a company find a new opportunity for future growth right now? So I'm teaching people, and we have hands-on a program called Catalyst, and I'm taking these groups of innovators. It could be like within a company or from different companies, and we're going through these stages. You might know some of them. It's very connected to design thinking or design sprint or lean startup, but it's going from analyzing, understanding what's going on. So I've done so many design sprints, and sometimes I felt that the beginning is lacking. We need to understand what is the challenge. We need to understand what is the situation before you jump onto the solution, which is very good solution for creating a new product within design sprint. But what happens before? So we're analyzing the strength of a company first. So there are so many strengths we need to analyze: the market and the clients. So once we understand that, we're deriving all the ideas from the analyze stage. And then we have what I call focus. Most systems will call it ideate, because we're having so many ideas out there. But for me, the focus on the right idea is the most important, because you could have lots of ideas, and many of them you could not create. They are not feasible. They are not the right solution. They're great for another time, so forth. So how can you take all of what you know and to focus on the right one? Then we are making a prototype or a way to test it out. We're testing and then deciding. And we're going in iteration. So this is very similar to other things, but it's stretched in order to allow a more successful initiative within a company. It takes longer time, and then it drips into the organization. You could talk to your users. You could talk to other people within the company. You could talk to stakeholders. You could gather more information. You have more time to really test it out thoroughly, and you have the capability to really understand what is the process of innovation while you're going through these stages, and not only like in one cycle.
Mm-hmm. What is the typical time frame of this?
So it takes like 6 weeks. So each week we're going to one of these stages, but it could take a few months, but it's not more than that. Because we want to go and drill into each of these stages. So each week we're taking one of these steps that we're taking an exercise. They need to go out of the building, try it out, give their results, and we're discussing it. And we're seeing where we stand. And then we, with this understanding, we're going to the next phase. And while we're doing that, we're connecting with maybe our managers or our stakeholders, whoever is responsible for the budget, maybe someone from finance, maybe someone from legal. We're trying to make it merge all together and to have a buy-in from other people. Because in many cases, when I go and do like very short workshops, it's really great for small companies who want to adjust something. But to create a really new things, you have to get the buy-in from other people and other roles within the company. And this takes time. And without that, you might be very disappointed if you have a great idea and it will not go up and will not grow in any sense. Make sense?
Cool.
So I want to focus on the analyze part. So how can you know what opportunities to seize? What are the opportunities that you should seize today? And I'm going to take you only a few points in this analyze stage. And first is analyzing the market. What is the trends? What are the competitors? What are the risks? How can you learn from others and others' mistake, which could be very valuable for you? And how can we pre-validate what everything, maybe your competitors or someone else pre-validated some of your assumptions, so you could take it from there. So what's going on outside? Then we're analyzing the strength of a company. And the strength of the company is their market. How are they compared to the competitors? What are they in the domain, their expertise, the data, the IP, the knowledge within the company, the technologies, their brand, so forth. So there are so many advantages you could use and analyze in order to understand, okay, we have this data, we have this IP, maybe we could utilize in order to do something with it. And most companies do not start with it. And what they're doing, they're trying to have this SWOT, understanding what are the strengths, what are the downsides, what are they not good at. But usually what we grow as people from, it's from our strength. Even like when we're kids, we know there's some of the subjects in school we're very good at, and probably this is something that we will grow from. I don't know many people who decided to take a profession of a subject that they really hated at school, because it doesn't happen because you hate it and you are not good at it. So why would you do a profession out of it, right? But once you have a talent for something and you have strength, this is where you could surely grow. And if you know as a company what your strengths are, it's really important. And the last one, which everybody knows, is to analyze your customers. So we really need to understand and to listen to them and to do interviews and to understand who is doing and what is doing and how in this certain situation. And we're doing how might we and empathy mapping and user analysis, user research. And these are things that are very established right now within companies if they have very profound research department. But not all companies have that, and not all companies know how to really understand what's going on outside. They know it surely from the business perspective. But when we're talking a product or a solution that is a new one and it's not there, or enriching or reinventing your current product, you have to really think again what's going on out there with your clients. And we're going through all these stages when we're doing the analyze. The last thing I want to show you is some of my clients. So the first one is Shemek from Google, and I worked with their accelerator for so many years. The second one is Meir from IBM, and we worked on several products for the IBM security. And the last one is from Amazon. He's the one who called me from Amazon. It was Cloud Enduro and he worked. And then in Amazon, we had like a few meetings there. And for me, just to have this connection and help these different people grow and these different products and projects grow, for me, it's like, this is what I love to do the most. And I'm sure that right now there are so many people and that could find what will grow their companies and help their clients on the other side, and just match that within reinventing your solutions or creating new ones. So this is what I love to do. And if you want to know more, these are like, you can go to invincibleinnovation.com, or to find out about the book, you will get a link to download the free version. And now we're going to Q&A.
Amazing. So actually they got the link. It's already in the chat. So look in the chat. Egle posted the link. You can click there. You have to validate the LinkedIn or whatever. And then you're going to get the book for free, right? Thank you so much.
It's the free version.
Thank you so much, Adi. So please, everyone, give a big round of applause for Adi, because the Q&A are going to be in Remo. So big round of applause. It was really, really great to have you all the way from Tel Aviv, Israel. Really, really cool to have all your perspective about innovation during COVID times. And what we're going to do now, you're going to be able to ask all your questions to Adi, and you can still compete for winning that nice bottle of wine. But at the end, Adi is going to tell me who is going to get the bottle. And Egle, if you can paste the link to the Remo. So if you don't know Remo, it's you just click, it's in the chat right now. So you just click on this link, and you're gonna be able to join me on Remo. So you have to validate your camera, your microphone, and then you join the event. And yeah, it's kind of cool. So you can actually see it. Wait, I'm going to share my screen. It's going to be easier for you to see. Yeah. So it looks like this. Basically, it's tables. You can just double click. You join the table you want. Adi is going to be at one of the table right there. And you can move from table to table. So you double click, you move from table to table, and you're going to be able to discuss with everyone who was here tonight. Really, really great to have you with us, Adi. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. It's been such a pleasure, and I would love to see you there.
Cheers. See you very soon on Remo. See you on the other side.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.